want to say that, you know, I'm here because of Liam Jones and my grandson, and my son Will Jones, who talked to me from Singapore and said, "Hey, Dad, let's make it a 3-generation thing here at Deerhorn." I said, "Why not?" So this is the first time that I've been back since 1946. I have a list of things that have changed through the years. I'm not going to go through all of that, but I do want to say that there's never been, you know, after I was here, there was no Father and Sunday for 50 years. Now, for the last 20 years, there's been a Father and Son Day. So my congratulations to those people from Ohio who originally started this. I think it was in Columbus, Ohio, a group that started the Father-Son thing. So it's been a great experience for me to come back. I'm sorry I couldn't compete in all of the activities, especially the scalping ceremony out here. But back in the old days, to get here, we had to leave Cincinnati on a train and go to Chicago and change stations. I was 7 years old in 1943, and it scared me to change stations and get another train to get up here. And the Woody and the bus took us in, and it hadn't changed. Coming down the road, and the nostalgia for me even coming back to see all the red pine, white pine, the jack pine, and the deciduous trees coming in, the same. The lake hasn't changed a bit. The lakefront is still the same as it was in the 40s. The Coogis are different. The Coogis did not have bunk beds at that time. They were all cots, 8 cots, very close together, and you had to have your foot locker at the end of the bed. It was 8 campers and 1 counselor. Now the windows, you know, the pull-down things are very fancy and very nice, but in those days we had pull-up wooden windows that went up with a drawstring, a draw rope to hold them up. I thought that was a great improvement, so congratulations. Although last night I was certainly glad that we had them all down when that storm came through at 1 o'clock in the morning. You know, the infirmary used to be right where the office is, so that's all brand new. You know, there was no such thing as the hockey rink out here. There was the baseball field was not here at that time. The rifle range was not dug in as it is now. Parker and Reed, there was only 2 tennis courts, and they weren't quite in as good a shape as they are for you guys right now. So tennis courts are a real great improvement. You know, we had a ceremony that was very interesting in those days, and it was important for you all to know this, and it may be something that could be redone, but this was World War II, and it was 1943, 44, and 45 when I was here. We had a ceremony at the closing of the activities down by the waterfront at the flagpole, and it was the lowering of the flag, and we did a Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. And then we all learned how to fold the flag into the proper trifold that we see being done. Unfortunately now we see it being done with the dead warriors coming back from various wars. But that was a sensitive thing for me. I'll tell you one thing for you counselors and ACs. There's one thing that you don't have to do now that they had to do then. The forts were real forts, and they were 3 holders, and there were only 2 3-holders. Now, you all maybe not understand what a 3-holder is, but it wasn't a flush toilet. And buckets had to be brought up from the lake and poured in, and then lye was then put in on top of it to decrease the effects. Anyway, but the benefit that the counselors in those days had was there was a little camp down the road here called Camp Reminiscing. Camp Reminiscing was started by Brodie Broadbridge, and Brodie was the sister of Dr. Don, and she started a girls' camp down the way. So there was plenty of female activity for you ACs and counselors at that time. So, you know, things were maybe even better then. Well, you know, we didn't have bikes. Frisbees were not even invented at that time. And what else do I have written down here? Soccer was really not yet a sport in the United States. So you know, these are all new things. And to see the hockey rink up there is neat. My most memorable day happened to be a night down on the beach. There was a little radio, but the electricity was very scant. I don't know. I guess we maybe had one phone line in here, and electricity wasn't really something. We had to power with used gas, I think, in those days. But I was down on the beach, and somebody had a transistor radio tuned in, and they broke into the program, and it was about 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was August the 14th, 1945. Now, I want no fathers to answer that question, but I'd like somebody to tell me what happened on that day in 1945. No fathers.
My son.
Okay. What happened on that day? Okay, Parker.
End of the war.
The end of the war, but it was called VJ Day, Victory in Japan. Victory in Europe was about 3 months earlier. And so World War II stopped that day. And you talk about tingling sensation, cheering on the beach that day. And that was one particular day that I will never, ever forget. I think that the stock market crashed in October of 1929. And for a dentist in Bluefields, Michigan, Grosse Pointe, Michigan, to make a decision to start a camp at the beginning of the Depression, not knowing that it was going to last as long as it did. The Depression, about 7, 8 months later, Camp Deerhorn started, and the Depression lasted for about 7, 8 years. And how Dr. Don was able to keep this camp going during those years when everybody lost their money. Some people jumped out of buildings. It was a disaster. And then the multiple recessions that have happened since that time, and to have this camp continue to flourish and to be better than even what it was when I was here is something phenomenal. And so it's to see 3 generations of Broadridges here that have put their hard work and great management skills, but beyond that, as has been really said before, it's the heart and soul of this camp belongs to the Broadridge family. And so for that, I'd like to say 3 cheers for the Broadridge families. Hooray! 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 Thank you.